just want to know that they believe in the Constitution and will enforce the Constitution and won't put their own spin on things.
You know, I'm mostly interested in like their opinions on pro-choice and women's rights and stuff like that.
Everything that affects the 99% in Wisconsin I care to hear about.
All right, just some of what Wisconsin voters are saying this weekend that they want to hear from the Supreme Court candidates Susan Crawford and Brad Schimel in our debate Wednesday night.
Both candidates in the final hours of debate prep this weekend ahead of Wednesday night. A new Marquette Law School Wisconsin poll also highlighting what voters are saying.
First, a good number don't know much about either of the two candidates. 58% say they haven't heard enough about Susan Crawford to have an opinion. 38% for Brad Schimel. Schimmel's favorability at 29%, 19% for Crawford.
Charles Franklin is the Marquette Law School poll director. He joins us now. Charles, it's always great to have you.
Good to be here.
So let's start with the favorability numbers, specifically the unknowns. There are just 23 days left until the Supreme Court race. How important does that make Wednesday night's debate for both candidates here?
Well, I think it's very important. Voters are interested in the race in general, but they just don't know that much about the candidates. 38% aren't familiar enough with Schimel to say if they like him or don't like him. It's 58 for Crawford. Now, when we squeeze the sample down to the people who are most involved, most committed to voting, those don't know numbers go down to 15 for Schimel and 36 for Crawford, but that's still pretty high. I think the debate is an important moment, both for familiarity, but also for the candidates to express their positions.
And to that, Charles, a majority of Wisconsin voters, nearly 80% that you polled, say that they want these candidates to discuss the issues. I'm curious, has the public expectation of judicial candidates, is that changing? And how do the campaigns respond to this?
I think it is changing, but honestly, we don't have data going back in the past, except to 2023 when we asked about it. And there we also found 80% or so saying they wanted the candidates to discuss the issues. So people do want to know what they're voting for. Of course, the tricky part is what are the limits on what judicial candidates can talk about and not appear to be prejudging cases in the future, and yet still give voters an understanding of who they are and what they're for.
Charles, Ad Impact, which tracks spending, is already reporting a record $41 million in spending and reservations on this race, which surpasses what we saw in the 2023 race between Janet Protasewicz and Daniel Kelly. You asked voters about the money and how that shapes the court.
Yeah, we asked specifically about, we said both parties, Democrat and Republican, have been giving large contributions to judicial candidates across recent races. Do you think this helps people understand what the candidates stand for? Or do you think it threatens or reduces their independence from political influence? There, a solid majority say it reduces independence from political influence. So we have the dilemma of you want to know what they're for, but the strong signal of parties backing the candidates, there we have some problems with it.
As we know, there's going to be a lot of hot button issues before this next court. Act 10, you asked about the collective bargaining law. 54% in your new poll said strike it down, 42% uphold. Wisconsin's voter ID law, 77% in favor, 22% opposed. Have you seen any dramatic shift in either of these in recent years since they are now both back front and center?
Right. We've been asking photo ID, I think, 12 times over the years and fairly recently. That support has been in the 70% range for a while now. I don't see any indication that that's changed much at all. On the Act 10, frankly, we haven't asked about it for a long time, but it was fairly evenly divided opinion about Act 10 when we asked about it in 2018.
Charles, you also asked about the overall view of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. How crucial is that number to the specific race?
Well, I think it's important that the court is seen approved of in the upper 40s. Disapproval is about 8-9 points lower than that. And a fair number of people, 16% or so, say they don't know. What that tells me, though, is that there's not any groundswell of disappointment with the court. There would be a different matter if we were going into this election and we were seeing a very high percentage disapproving of the court. That we're not seeing at all.
A lot at stake. All eyes on Wednesday night. Charles Franklin, the director of the Marquette Law School poll. Charles, it's always great to have your insight and analysis. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, the national impact, the record spending, the big donors. ABC News Washington Bureau Chief Rick Klein with us next.